Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's One Piece Treasure Cruise video we are going to do a priority tier list for the best Kizuna free-to-play units available in the Kizuna shop. So if you are new or you do not have them all, you know in what order you should farm them and you know which ones to prioritize based on how useful they are and how often they are used. I will base this tier list on my opinion, my team building experience and of course on how often I use the units and how good I believe they are at the end of the day for you to get them with your Kizuna insignia. Two quick notes before we begin. The units in the tiers won't be in order because I cannot exactly order them with this tool. And second off, I want to emphasize, and I will always be saying this when I am making a tier list or comparing units, One Piece Treasure Cruise outside of PvP does not have a clear-cut meta. Everything in One Piece Treasure Cruise is based on the quest at hand and the quest you want to clear. We cannot always say that Unit A is better than Unit B because you never know what circumstances will present themselves in a quest. A lot of you guys want me to make a video like this though, so here it goes. And if you enjoy this one and want to see more, maybe for treasure map units and also pirate rumble units, more free-to-play units you can acquire, then definitely let me know by leaving a comment, a like and subscribing to the channel. You see all of the available units at the bottom, so let's begin with Zoro and Sanji, the first ever Kizuna unit released, which in my opinion at this point of the game is low priority. It is not a bad unit. The reasoning behind this is that they can provide the 2.75 times attack boost, but you need to be at maximum HP, which can be extremely annoying to fulfill, and also they only provide it for fighter and slasher units. If you are now not at maximum HP, the drop-off of the attack boost is pretty significant. It goes to 2 times attack boost, which is still a good attack boost, but only for 2 classes that are not at the best state right now, and it would be way better if it was 2.25 times, but the difference is pretty big. And I would still be okay with that, but they do not offer any utility, they have a mediocre swap, and they are Zoro Sanji, who have way better units in the game currently. On paper it is still a good unit and still a usable unit because the 2.75 times attack boost is a very good attack boost. For you to get it though, you need to either have an overheal team or just be at the perfect spot in the quest with maximum HP, with no stalling or a healing special or something like that. If we disregard the 2.75 times attack boost and we take into consideration only the 2 times attack boost, then I definitely think the unit is a low priority. It does make sense though, this is the first Kizuna unit ever, and at the end of the day, if you have many of the higher priority units, then you can definitely farm Zoro and Sanji. Next up we have another dual unit, a very similar one actually, Borsalino and Sakazuki. This unit will go to the medium priority tier, and I will tell you exactly why they go over Zoro and Sanji. First of all, they are not Zoro and Sanji, they are not Straw Hats, they do not have tons of units in the game. But besides that, it's not like this unit is way better based on their special, because they pretty much do the same thing but with an ore boost, but they have a better requirement. They do not want maximum HP, they need a strength or Psy Captain. On top of that, their swap is one of the few swaps in the game that reduces special bind by 1 turn from the whole team, so that is actually pretty good. Their ore boost is only for driven and slasher characters, even though the requirement is for color and not class, but still it is an okay special just like Zoro Sanji, but you can get the 2.75 times ore boost way easier than the 2.75 times attack boost Zoro Sanji provide. The next dual unit is Marco and Ace. They will also go to the medium priority tier. They are a very strong strength unit because they can provide a 2.75 attack boost for strength characters, but they do not have a requirement. It will happen no matter what, but they will lose a ton of HP. They actually cut the crew's HP by 99%. They can heal though at the end of the turn, which is good, and they can remove the totality of the opponent's attack boost and enrage, but I have to be honest, I have never used it. This is only a good special for the attack boost, and maybe the cutting in HP can help you in some way, but the attack boost is the main thing. And they also have a decent swap. In Garp challenges or in quests you need to stall a lot, they can be huge help because they have a guaranteed matching slot, they are both strength, and they can also make unfavorable slots strength. So in a strength team, that can be pretty important. A drawback they have, of course, is that they are mono-strength focused, meaning that if this is not a dex quest you want to clear, then they are not going to be useful. I have actually used them in a lot of strength garb challenges, and that is also one of the reasons they go in the medium priority tier. The next unit is Luffy and Boa Hancock, and I will now tell you, farm this unit. High priority unit, incredible unit, one of the best Kizuna units ever. To be honest with you, they can provide a 2.25 times color affinity boost both for Psi and Int characters. They make all of your slots matching and they lock them even through block slots. They can heal with their swap, providing survivability, although their swap is not the best. And probably one of the biggest things, Luffy is in the dual unit, meaning they can be attached with amazing supports like V1 Rayleigh, Halloween Ace, or even time skip Sanji and many more. If they get special cooldown reduction in Kizuna and the enemy is either Psi or Int, I will most likely use them if I do need color affinity. I really do not need to say much more for this unit, definitely at the high priority tier. Next up we have Okiku, and she is definitely at high priority. You can easily mistake this unit for a mediocre unit at first glance, but it has double special activation, meaning it is a great utility unit throughout the quest because you can use the special twice to remove 4 turns of paralysis and bind, get 2 turns of special cooldown reduction and also a 70% damage reduction shield. You can decide to do that in one stage, you can decide to spread the 2 specials in different stages to remove 2 turns of bind and paralysis and get the special cooldown reduction in one and do the same in another. She can be supported by great Wano supports, one of them being Rare Recruit Dex Kanjuro, and now with the Wano arc evolving every week, she can get even better supports in the future. She can allow Oden to gain his super type special, and that might happen again in the future because I think it is inevitable at some point we are going to get a Kinemon superclass or supertype legend, and she can definitely help unlock his supertype or superclass ability too. She can absolutely also be considered to have future potential. This is a really good utility unit, I would advise you to absolutely get it if you miss it. Next up we have 3 support characters, all of them will go of course in the support tier. Priority wise between them, I would say Margaret first, Perospero second and Bartolomeo third. All of them can be proven to be useful. Margaret by far I have used the most. She can provide a guaranteed Q slot for a Q character in the end stage, and that can be extremely good especially in Kizuna, especially for characters like Rare Recruit Kaku or Rare Recruit Pudding, who make all of the rest of the crew slots the same as their own, so if you have a full Q team, they can give you a full board of matching slots without even actually manipulating slots to guaranteed matching, just by having Margaret. She can definitely be replaced by Story Vivi support, but sometimes you might want to use them together. Perospero can lock cerebral character slots, which can be useful, but I haven't used him in a long time. And the same goes for Bartolomeo, I have almost never used him, but he does provide a damage reduction shield after you activate a special as a Luffy character. Next we see Dex Boa Hancock, and I have used this unit a ton. Not necessarily as a sub, although she can still be useful as a sub, but especially as a support. She does not have an extremely good support, it is just a very good free-to-play stat booster for Luffy, that is pretty much it. She gives him attack and also RCV, which can be useful in Luffy Sanji and even V2 Snakeman. Of course now with more legend stat boosting supports, she is not that useful, but still this unit has a special place in my heart. She is actually a pretty decent Dex unit. I know her special is not anything crazy, she manipulates slots to either Dex or Psi, not that great, especially because it does not go through block slots. She HP cuts the enemy by 20%, not the most useful thing, it does not go through barriers or anything, and she gives a 3 times chain lock, that's it, flat 3 times chain lock. Still, she can be useful in Dex teams. I think placing her in the medium priority tier will be way too subjective, because I have used the unit a lot, she is definitely not that amazing, so I will place her in the low priority tier. Next we have Int Magellan, who immediately goes to the after everything else tier. Do not prioritize him at all, he's not good anymore. After Bandai changed the immunities, not being applied after the preemptive, but immediately when the boss appears, this Magellan got nerfed to shreds. If the final boss stage has poison immunity, or maybe the second to last stage, his special does not work anymore. So if the enemy does not get poison immunity, maybe he is useful, but in that scenario you are just going to use another conditional attack booster against poison who provides a higher conditional attack boost. I think this Magellan's is only 1.3 times, so definitely not the best. Next we have Halloween Sabo, who actually wears a Reaper outfit. So I should be biased and put him very high, but let's be honest, he is not. I will put him in low priority. He is not after everything else simply because he has the potential to provide either a 2.25 times orb boost or a 3-turn orb boost for 1.75 times. That can still be decent in very specific situations, so he is low tier, but he is not a unit you should immediately go after. Even if you do not have him, I would say just keep your insignia because you never know, and just use him or farm him actually if you need him for a team. Next we have Christmas Irahoshi. This is a medium priority unit for certain. On paper, she is actually very good. I read her special before this video and I'm like, why am I not using her more? I don't know, maybe the situation is not right, maybe she's not on my radar and I prefer different choices in my team building, but she has the potential to be very useful. I think for a newer player, she can definitely be better, because she can provide an orb boost for 2 stages for both Psy and Int characters, and also make their type slots beneficial. She can help you get an orb boost in the final stage, a 2 times orb boost as well. Maybe if the enemy has orb boosting special interruption, she's very good there, or maybe if the enemy in the final stage will apply a non-beneficial orb debuff, her beneficial orb buff can be very helpful to counter it. Even though I'm not using her that much, I would say medium priority unit. Next we have Psycho Ala. She will be useful in such a specific situation that I cannot put her in a high or even medium priority tier. I will put her in the low priority tier, maybe even the after everything else, but let's just put her low priority because she can be decent. You either need a very specific scenario or you need to team build around her to actually get a defense down to the enemy, so then if you have the correct captain, she can give you the conditional attack boost, which is a very good attack boost by the way, but she does not give defense down to the enemy. She's one of those units that only gives the conditional attack boost and she does not provide the actual debuff. The condition needs to be applied by someone else. Just because of that, she needs to be low priority. She can still manipulate block slots and make them matching, and at the end of the day, there are units in the game that can make a combo with her, like for example Versus Shanks with his Versus ability, and even Arena Franoski. Next up we have Strength Moria, who is in a weird situation because he was introduced in an era where the clock buff, where you get a boost after 1 or 2 turns, was introduced. Then, when he came out, he was actually pretty good. Nowadays, he has fallen from grace because he is barely used. Whenever I'm about to use him, and I remember this vividly because I was about to use him in a quest, arena or something, and then I stopped myself from using him because I knew I could have done better with another unit. V1 Snakeman is a similar unit and he also gives you a chain boost, and that's not even a recent unit, it's V1 Snakeman. His slot manipulation can be okay, but it does not go through block slots, which can be a big issue. His boosts are also not increasing in the next time he gives them, it is still 1.75 in both turns, so not the best. In my opinion, a low priority unit. Next up we have Strength Carrot, who I will also put in the medium priority tier, and this is a very similar situation to Christmas Irahoshi. I know what this unit does because I actually used her in the recent Kizuna vs Blackbeard, but I have almost never used her outside of point boosting events or treasure maps except in the Kizuna I mentioned. The reason behind that is probably that the complete removal of defense up, at least by me, is a bit overrated. You are not going to need it all the time. It is definitely a good ability and something that will never be outdated, but if the enemy does not have 10 turns of defense up or 7 turns of defense up and has 4, 5 or even 6, then maybe another unit or a combination of two other units or a unit and a support can provide more things to a team than Carrot can with her attack boost, which is locked behind a strength or an int captain, and her chain boost, which is not the highest one. The chain boost is a damage boost which gets increasingly better, and the 0.65 one is not that great anymore. Even with all of that in mind, still a medium priority unit. Next up we have Int Big Mom, which is a low priority unit. In my opinion, if you do not need to remove beneficial effects from your team, like a low attack boost or a low orb boost, you are never going to use her. And also, if you have a low attack boost or orb boost, Treasure Map Strength Big Mom is infinitely better. The TM one gives you a universal attack boost, orb boost and color affinity boost. This one doesn't, it does not even give you all of these boosts, and also it is only for strength and int units. Not a very good unit, and you are not going to use it very often. Next up we have Q Kaido, who in my opinion is the worst Kizuna unit ever released, definitely in the worst tier after everything else. Even if you do not farm him at all actually, you are still going to be absolutely fine keeping your insignia. Next up we have Dex Buggy, who is actually pretty decent. I will put him in medium priority. He can give you a full board of matching slots, even through block slots, and then remove Bind, Despair and Paralysis. These are three of the most common debuffs in the game, and if the orb manipulation was not locked behind your captain being a free spirit unit, then he could be high priority, but with that restriction definitely a medium priority unit. Next up we have Halloween Kid, who will immediately jump to medium priority. The main reason is not even his utility, it is because he is an amazing quality of life update for speedrunning daily quests with Buggy. You activate his special in turn 1, you cruise through all the stages to the final stage, and then you activate Treasure Map 00 to destroy the daily quest and clear it faster. And he can also be decent in teams as a utility unit. His end of turn damage can bypass resilience, he can reduce your special cooldowns by 1 turn, and he can remove defense up, but only for 3 turns. So he can definitely be used in teams and help you maybe in stage 3 of an arena quest, but he is not the best utility unit. I would say his quality of life for your daily quest grind is more important. Next up we have Cy Hawkins, who I will put in medium priority. He's a pretty decent utility unit, being able to remove 5 turns of Despair, Paralysis and Threshold. He can also nullify damage from 3 colors, I think Strength Q and Int. Not the best part of his kit, but it is an okay addition. I have not used him that often, but if you need him in a quest, he might be replaceable. I cannot put him at a high priority tier, but definitely a medium priority unit. Hawkins does not have a lot of great units in the game, so having one that can also unlock super type abilities for other supernovas is pretty good. Next we have Christmas, Bez and Pez. Pretty interesting unit, I have to say. They make all of your slots, even block, unfavorable. At first glance something very bad, but with some captains, like for example versus Ace, that can be decent if the captain makes these orbs beneficial, or maybe you have another sailor ability that does it. They also provide a 2x attack boost. I do not think they are a great unit. They are interesting, but I will still put them in low priority because I do not think they can be used that often. It is another unit, like for example Koala we saw before, that maybe you need to team build around them as well, and not only the content itself, which can definitely be an inconvenience. Next up we have Onami and Orobi, and straight up this unit is a budget Nami Robin. The legend, the dual unit, they are a budget version of that. They can remove 6 turns of paralysis instead of 10, and they give you a 2x orb boost instead of a 2.5x one, but the orb boost is universal, not for only Dex and Int. They can also provide special cooldown reduction, which is cool, and they can also resist it for 2 turns, and they do some other utility stuff, but they are not that important. I could put them at high priority, but they are pretty one-dimensional. If the content does not have paralysis, you are never going to use them in that content, you are going to prefer another orb booster, and the same could apply for the special cooldown reduction, so I will put them in medium priority. I just think the high priority units can probably have more common uses than this one. Definitely a good free-to-play unit though. And then we have Kizuna King, who will also be in the medium priority tier. Kizuna King is interesting because he can give you a 3-turn attack boost. It is a combo attack boost like the ambush Lin one, but still, for 3 turns the buff can be very good. Then he can remove chain debuffs and also give you adjacent matching slots, which can be clutch in many situations. I think that he is a pretty decent unit for what he does, so medium priority is a pretty decent spot for him. Next we have the Flamingo, who I think I will put in low priority. On paper, his special is good, he can remove 5 turns of defense up and threshold, and he can also give you adjacent slots and extend your chain lock. Not a lot of units extend chain lock, but then again it might not be needed in majority of quests. I think on paper he is a medium priority unit, but because I have almost never used him, I will put him in low priority. He is definitely not after everything else, so I think low priority is good for him, because for removing defensive effects he is pretty decent. He only lacks damage reduction removal, but there are other units in the game that can do the same thing he does and also give you a boost in damage, so I would say that he definitely lacks in that aspect, even though he can provide adjacent matching slots. Next we have Kizuna Katakuri, who immediately is put in the high priority tier in my opinion. One of the most underrated Kizuna units. He is able to make block RCV and TNT slots matching, remove 5 turns of paralysis and also damage reduction. And on top of all that, unlike Doffy, he can boost your damage. He gives you a chain lock for 3 turns. It is not a very high chain lock, it is at 2.75 times, but for 3 turns that can be extremely good. Specifically of course combined with the utility he provides, because if you just wanted a chain lock for 3 turns, you would most likely use the Shank Screw. I have actually used him pretty often. Katakuri is also one of those characters in the game that does not have great units. He has 4 legends and 3 of them are underwhelming, at least in my opinion. The Superclass legend is good and I do not have him, so I cannot exactly evaluate him, but every other one of his legends either needs a very specific situation to work or is extremely outdated. He also does not have a lot of rare recruits, so a free-to-play Katakuri unit that can provide variety utility and a chain lock for 3 turns is definitely a great combination. For the remaining units, I think things are pretty simple. All of the newer units that also have a super evolution through scrolls are high priority. They all give you utility, some form of damage, and they can also do something extra. The Kuja Pirates, for example, can give you conditional attack boosts even through immunity if you have over 50,000 HP. Jack can give you a Color Affinity for 3 turns while also removing attack down and paralysis. Olin can remove Special Bind and Threshold for 6 turns while also removing block slots. And that is not of course even the entirety of their kit. All of them must have and great units, but unfortunately if you missed them, I think they require high investment, so hopefully you did get them when they were released. The recent Super Evolution unit, Krieg Pirates, is not here. This is the only one I would put in medium priority, and the reason is they are pretty niche. They remove Bind and Despair and they give you a conditional attack boost, but not through immunity. They also remove the non-beneficial slot debuff if I'm not mistaken, but I think still a medium priority unit. The 3 available here can probably be used in a wider variety of teams, but still the Krieg Pirates are a very decent unit. Then we have Mugiwara 56 Brook, definitely at high priority. He can remove 6 turns of Threshold, and then give you an attack boost and an ore boost, depending also on what you have available to you, for Free Spirit and Psi units. He can also extend your already existing attack boost, which is pretty cool, but Brook is a pretty nice unit to have. And then Ivankov is in a weird spot because he came out during the sync and I have never used him. We have seen such a rush of content that I did not have the chance to use him even, and I think on paper he's a decent unit, but because I have never used him, I will put him in medium priority. I guess I can re-evaluate him in the future. And that is my tier list. Now that I look at it completed, I think I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe we can move some units around, like for example Halloween Kid, because he is there specifically for his quality of life update more than his utility. He could be moved to low priority. Quality of life update for your everyday grind is also pretty important in my opinion. Int Big Mom maybe can be dropped to after everything else, but she's not as bad as the other two units, so generally I'm pretty happy with this. If you have all of these units, you can rename the tiers in your head to S, A, B, C, I guess that also works, but that is my opinion on the units. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know with a like, I would really appreciate it. What is your opinion? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree on some units? Tell me in the comments down below, I would love to have a discussion with you guys, and of course, subscribe for more OPTC content. Also tell me if you want to see something similar for Treasure Map and Pirate Rumble units. Thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.